8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. My name is Vinnie. We got David over here.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a rental income property 101. Kind of get the ball rolling. You probably own a property already if you're watching this, but you're looking to add to your investment, add to your future. So let's just dive into it. Oh, before I get going, Wednesday, if you're watching, please subscribe. If you want to join in, we're going to have a quiz show Wednesday at 6 o'clock. All right, let's get into this.
Boom. Well, so you guys already own a home. You knew what it takes to get your home. And now you're wondering, how else can you build wealth? Well, when you start thinking about rental properties, you want to look at, is your job steady? Is your income coming in consistently every month? Do you already have a retirement plan? Do you have savings accounts? Your current house, is it appreciating in value? And you look at all these different things and you go, well, I have all this stuff, but how else am I going to really accumulate wealth? Well, the best way you can accumulate wealth is, besides diversifying your portfolio, is to buy rental property. And so that's what me and Vinnie are going to go in today. It's basically a 101 class for buying your first investment property. We're going to move fast, be respectful of your time, and we're glad that you're here.
And if you have any questions, feel free to comment.
Ooh, how do investment properties build wealth? Well, you look at investment properties and you go, how is this going to happen? Well, they build wealth from cash flow. Rental properties create cash flow. Rental properties have the ability to increase cash flow by rent increases. And then you want to look at San Diego's average rent. It's between $18.50 to $27.50. That's pretty expensive. And then your average rent increases each year. They average like 4%. So if you think about that, if you have an asset that can increase in value by 4% each year, is that valuable to you? The other way you build wealth is future appreciation. You look at the future appreciation. San Diego averages 5.5%. That's a historical average. Even in bad times, we're expected to lose maybe at 0.8% of 1%. That's not bad. And then you look at it, you go, in San Diego, there's already a massive housing shortage. There's a lot of people here that already have to rent. So why not be renting from you? Why not have the renters pay your mortgage as your appreciation goes up?
Yeah, so just to jump in there. So the monthly cash flow, you really got to look at what you're looking to do, what you're looking to accomplish when you're looking to kind of build your wealth, right? So you got the monthly cash flow. Yes, rents are going up. We have a shortage of inventory. We have a shortage of property. That's something, if you listen to a lot of the politicians locally, something they're constantly looking for. That's why they reduce making it a little easier to add ADUs, basically, quote unquote, granny flats. So if you have a property right now, that might actually be the best way for you, is refinancing, taking some money out, and then building a granny flat on your property. So not necessarily purchasing a property. Future appreciation. Again, shortage of inventory right now. The market's going to go up, and it's going to go down. I mean, it always goes up, it always goes down. So it maybe 2 years from now, a year from now, the purchase you buy today might be worth less. Yet, let's say 5, 10, 15 years when the market goes back up again, it's probably going to be worth more. So it's going to go up, it's going to go down. And then tax write-offs. You want to jump back into that, David?
The tax write-offs is kind of unique. What Vinnie was pointing out is buying investment properties is a long-term game. The immediate short-term game is this. You immediately get tax write-offs. Rental properties are tax deductible. When you improve your own home, can you write that off? No. But when you do improvements to your investment property, they're tax deductible. You can also depreciate your rental property. It now follows a standardized schedule of write-offs of depreciation on your rental property. You also get the write-off on your rental property taxes, insurance, mortgage interest, all that's written off along with maintenance and property management fees. There's a lot of tax write-offs, which is where you build a lot of tax savings.
Yeah. So to jump into it, let's go. So all these, yeah, depreciation. But again, we're not basically CPA, so talk to your trusted CPA on this. Something I always got to throw out there.
Yeah, we got to do that. We're long term. Me and Vinny are here long term to help you build wealth. That's why Vinny's mentioning, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Buying real estate is a long term hold for long term gains. So it's something to really think about. And so, how are you going to get started? How do you get started buying your first investment property? Well, you can pull money out of your current house. You can do a cash out refinance.
Yeah, interest is, rates are crazy low. If you've been watching our market updates on Monday and Friday, you've been seeing that the rates are really low. Low threes, you can buy it down to the high twos, all-time low. So if maybe you bought a couple years ago, maybe you bought in the 4%, somewhere in there, might be able to refi, take some money out, and have a similar payment.
And we are thankful for our millions of followers on our market updates too.
I think we got to 2 million now, right?
It's you got to start somewhere. How else can you get the money? Well, you can pull from your retirement accounts. You can do bank savings. You can actually do an IRA, real estate investment account. That you're going to need to talk to your CPA. It is savvy. It is for the people who are thinking big. You can also do a HELOC. A lot of people will not do the HELOC right now because that's a second mortgage, because the first mortgage is so cheap. And, once again, shameless plug, the market updates. Vinny has the data that shows the historical average of interest rates for like the last 40 years. If you take a look at that, the data is staggering. It's the cheapest ever money has ever been to buy houses. Ooh.
You want to take that?
The cash flow is king?
Cash flow is king. It's not magic.
Well, cash flow is king. We don't discriminate here. Me and Vinny, cash flow is king and queen, just to be fair.
And if you jump in, I was gonna say, if you're jumping in right now, feel free to ask questions. We are getting some more followers. If you're just jumping in, feel free to ask questions as we go through.
So a lot of you ask, well, why would I buy an investment property in San Diego? So you already live here, you already have a home here, you already know the weather is marvelous. But then you also realize, why are people coming here? Well, people come to San Diego because 1, we're a biotech big hub. 2, we're a military hub. 3, we're one of the few cities that has optimum weather, when in the same day you can go to the mountains, go to the desert, and then go watch a sunset in the same day. So we're located in an area where you can only build so far, and the demand here stays constant. And that's something that, do we think will go away in the future? I'm biased. I don't actually think it will. I think the city's going to stay great, and I think the weather is going to probably get even better. And so I definitely think that buying here enables you to have a lot of things that other people can't have in other parts of the world.
Again, it goes to the idea, it never matters what the property is worth until you're actually looking to sell it or refinance it. Same thing with stocks. So the market's going to go up, the market's going to go down. Look at the monthly payment, look at your cash flow, look at your future appreciation. That's the biggest thing. But look at, I think the monthly payment is probably right now in this current climate with interest rates where they sit. The monthly payment is a huge factor.
Yeah, we're heavy. The monthly payment is crucial because if you think about it, if your rental property goes vacant, do you have excess cash? Which is kind of a, follow through into the next area is, what's most important to you about the investment property? A lot of people buy properties for different goals, different reasons, and you need to know your reasons before you do this. So you want to hit the monthly cash flow one, Vinny?
Yeah. So really understanding what you're looking for in a renter, right? So based off of how you rent the property, right, the higher you put for that rental price, right, the less probably applications you're going to get. Okay. So sometimes people price it a little bit lower to get more applicants, and then they kind of weed through it. And that affects your bottom line, of course. Yet a good tenant over time, if you don't have a vacant, if you're not constantly changing every year, you're going to kind of save money. So really understanding in the cash flow aspect of it, what are you looking for? Are you looking for basically the vacancy? So the property to be fully taken care of, occupied over the next couple of years, or are you looking for constant, burn and turn? Maybe you look at the Airbnb route because you're going to get a higher return based off of that, but you probably won't have it as occupied as often. So something to really factor in when you're looking to buy an investment property and you're looking over the numbers. Again, is it yearly appreciation? Now, this is something that I throw out all the time. Based off the community that you're buying in, you're really reliant on the market. Yet, there are factors that can really play out if it's strictly not off of the rental, the real estate market. Also, areas that are being quote unquote gentrified. Communities.
Oh, we love that one.
I love that one. So communities that basically are getting renovated, like maybe a house that is in really bad shape, it gets bought up by an investor, it goes back on the market, sells at a higher price, brings the values of all the other properties in that community up. Okay, it has a negative connotation to renters because over time you're starting to build the rents up too. Another thing you can add, let's say if it's a single family property, maybe you're adding some beautification to the exterior of the property, the interior of the property, and that will help appreciation for your property. When you're dealing with condos, it's more strictly on the market and the whole gentrification kind of stuff that happens right there. Maybe you're buying in a more established area where you're not really focusing on appreciation, and that's more on the cash flow aspect of it. If you're buying maybe a coastal property, maybe you're looking at Airbnbs and short-term rentals. So understanding those avenues when you're purchasing that property. Is it the safety of an investment? Another thing to really factor in. Location of property. There's a platform called Crime Spot. If you're looking for rentals, you're looking to buy, probably want to take a look at that, crimespot.org. That'll give you an idea of what kind of happens in that community. Stability of the rents, monthly rents. Again, the lower you ask for in the rents, the more applicants you get, and probably the more you can be picky with who you want to put in there, and the person's going to be more established in the community. I've heard of tenants that have had, landlords that have had tenants for 15, 20 years, and they were pretty relaxed on the monthly rent, and it made life a little bit easier for them because they didn't have to get a new renter in there, do as much upgrades, and there's a pride of renter ownership, I guess.
The safety of your investment, for a lot of you will look at things and go, is my money safe if I buy an investment property? Well, investing in itself is always not 100% safe. But if you buy different properties, like Vinnie mentioned, in coastal areas, more high-end areas, other areas, and I'm going to use Hillcrest as an example. That's a very expensive area. So the safety of your investment is very safe because the renters are going to pay more, which means they're going to earn more, which means typically your investment is more safe. If you want a higher rate of return, you're going to take more risk. So that's more of investing. So if you look at Vinnie's, favorite gentrification area, and you buy out an area that's not so nice, well, your rate of return is going to be much better. But then you got to realize the safety of your investment is not the same. Just like renting the Section 8 tenants, it's not the same as renting to an executive in your downtown condo. So you really got to look at these three things Vinnie touched on and realize what's most important to you. Is it the monthly cash flow? Is it the appreciation that you get? Or is it the safety of the investment and how well you sleep at night? These are three important factors that you really got to look at the bigger picture and understand what is your goal, what's most important to
you. And these questions can be daunting, especially if it's your first time looking at investment properties. So feel free to reach out to myself or David. We can put together a game plan for you and walk you through the pros and cons of each avenue and build something solid for you.
You don't want to build your house in the sand. You want to build it with a firm foundation.
Exactly.
What do we got here? Ooh.
Okay. Well, now that you thought about the goal of the property, which type is right for you?
Well, pretty self-explanatory right there, right? So as we start looking at different things, the single family house versus the duplex versus 3 to 4 units. You've already thought about your other goals, what's most important to you. Well, now you got to look at the other level. Once again, you are investing. There is a level of risk involved. And so with a single family house, you have one renter. If the one renter leaves, it's like Vinny said, can you afford the payment to pay it? The duplex, now you have two renters. So you have two sources of cash flow. So that's different too as well. 3 to 4 units, you're entering into another arena, more maintenance, more tenants, more cash flow. And you think of it this way, if one of your tenants leave, you still have 3 other units producing cash flow. And that, in myself, I am biased. I'm looking for cash flow because that money I can reinvest and make other investments with. So I do prefer more units versus single houses. But if it's your first property you're getting into, the single house is less maintenance. And me and Vinny will go into the different maintenance costs and what to look at because each one of these houses comes with its own upside and downside.
Meaning, if you're just joining us right now, maybe you have a single family home that you already currently live in, and you're looking at the idea of adding a granny flat or an ADU to your property. I mean, that might be the best route to go. I mean, again, rates are really low right now, so that could be an avenue. Feel free to call David. He can kind of walk you through the current rates.
Yeah, it is historically the best we've ever seen in history, and really something to think about.
So again, I mean, this is already something that David's kind of brought up. I mean, there's pros and cons of each avenue. The single-family houses, easier to maintain, lower costs. You're only dealing with one tenant. Again, if one of the tenants the tenant moves out and you got to find a new tenant, you're not getting any kind of income coming there. Duplex, it helps you out. A little more expensive based off the community you're buying in, more maintenance, 2 tenants, more cash flow. One moves out, you still have the other one. 3 to 4, same kind of idea. Now, based off of the communities you're buying in, you could probably get a single family in one community and a 4-unit in another community for the similar price. Are the communities going to be comparable? Might be a little bit different. So just really based off of your game plan of what you're looking to do, that's going to help us figure out what's the best avenue for you.
Now, the other thing, if you look at that 2-unit, 3 and 4 units, you now can get into these properties literally with smaller down payments because you can live in one of the units, which means you can buy that place with less down than buying as a straight investment property. So that's something else. Strategically, if you're talking to Vinny and you're like, hey, I wanted to get my first place, but I want to buy a duplex because I want to rent out one side and live in the other. Well, you may be eligible to get into that place with 3.5% down on your first investment. So there's a lot of options you got to consider.
If you have a VA loan, you might be able to buy the place, live in one, and rent the other 2 out. That could be an avenue that you're looking at. Being that we're in San Diego, we have a big military population, something to think about. So if there's a will, there's a way. It's just a matter of getting a game plan together to help us get you to where you want to get to.
I'm going to throw this out there because Vinny mentioned it. The VA loan, I recently had a buyer close on a 3-unit place for $960,000 with no money down on a 3-unit place. That's absurd. That's the biggest investment you could ever make with almost jumping in with no money down. That's not for everyone. Obviously, risk comes with it, but still, there's a lot of options. That's why it's important to game plan, sit down with professionals, think, analyze, strategize. Ooh, this is a big one, huh, Vinny?
Is there a wrong property to start with? Of course there is. Remember your goals here, your financial situation. Can you afford to lose a renter? Do you have reserves if things go wrong? Because they will. Can you bootstrap and do the work yourself, or do you need basically a contractor, a handyman? Do you have the patience to work with people? This is the same thing that we talk about in our buyer seminar for first-time home buyers. There's a difference between what you're qualified for compared to what you can actually afford. The same kind of thing goes here when you're purchasing a rental property. Yes, if the numbers can match up, if you're pushing the threshold on what you can get for that renter into that property, what if something goes wrong? Do you have the funds to offset, a new roof, new flooring? Whatever might be required or called out on the property. So really have a strong enough game plan just to make sure that you're covered when the time comes up.
Can you bootstrap? I know that that's my word. Vinny has his gentrification. I'm the bootstrap. So bootstrap, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's not putting on your boots. It means doing the work yourself, which also comes with a cost, which means you got to buy tools. Tools are not expensive. And you got to have the skill and know-how, because you can save a lot of money if you can bootstrap on and fix all the different repairs in your place, from laying tile to cutting down walls to doing small electrical work. Doing all that can save you a lot of money. And the other thing, like Vinny mentioned, patience. This is people. You're going to deal with renters. It's not the same economic situation as you are in. You have to have empathy for people and realize you have to treat them well.
All right, let's take a look at some ways to not choose the wrong property. Know the neighborhood. Know the area you're buying in. What is the average income? What is the average rent paid? A great platform to kind of get a rough idea of what rents are going for, rental meter. I mean, there's other avenues we can, if you need help, feel free to reach out. I mean, we can take a look at what's renting there. But for yourself, rental meter is a great platform. What is the crime rate? Already said it. Crimespot.org is another platform you can look at. What is the rate of appreciation? Now, we don't know what the future holds, but we can look at the past to give us a rough idea of where things are going, So the market's going to go up, the market's going to go down. Again, it only matters where the price is if you're looking to sell the property or looking to refinance the property. It doesn't matter anything else. Okay. Average renter turnover. I mean, the more you ask for the rent, I mean, that's probably going to play a factor if the turnover for the renters in the community. Know the property. What is the age of it? I mean, older homes. I mean, let's say if you're looking in like the North Park area where the some of the properties are in the 20s, and they still have the cast iron piping in there. Deferred maintenance. Again, I mean, you can make sure you scope that property when you're in escrow. Take a look at the roof. Take a look at the big ticket items just to see you're going to be covered. Again, piping, electrical, roof, permitted, not permitted. Now, permitted or not permitted, that's really, I mean, if you're doing some work, get it permitted. If you're looking at a property, there's a lot of properties, I mean, in different communities where there was probably no permits that were pulled on it, or it was done such a long time ago they just didn't do it. Be aware you can get in trouble for that later on. So know the difference of permitted or not permitted on the property. That's going to help you later on. You might be able to get a better deal if it's not permitted or permits unknown. Yet, if that ever comes about, there could be issues.
You could also, let's say you don't treat your tenant properly, and your tenant reaches out and talks to someone like Vinnie or myself and has us look in to see if, that's a legitimate bedroom or a legitimate bathroom. And then they start reporting you down to the city of San Diego for non-permitted work. There's a lot of things that come into this where you need to really know what was permitted, what was not, and then make sure you're treating, your tenants fairly.
Zoning, legal upside of the unit. There's a lot of changes, especially we've talked about a couple of times, ADUs, granny flats, so you want to call them, the ability to add those on based off of the lot size of the property. Some properties have the ability for adding on a secondary unit, a third unit based off of the lot size, the square footage. So really looking into that will kind of give you a better insight on what you're looking to do with the property. Average cost per square foot. If you're doing it yourself, you have those numbers. If you're looking to get a contractor, get a trusted source. If you need a good contractor or a handyman, feel free to reach out. We can get you in contact. What improvements can you do to bring in more rent? YouTube's a great avenue. If you're watching on YouTube or you're not, feel free to subscribe and share. But YouTube's a great avenue to do a lot of these to-do list items, honey to-do list items.
These other things right here with your know your property, for those of you who have ever driven to a friend's house and gone, wow, this is such a great location. Or you've driven another place and gone, wow, it's so easy to get in and out of there. Knowing your property also means knowing how close to the freeway is it? How easy access is it? Is there parking? Is there not? Do I have to go through 40 stoplights to get to my rental? Do I have to park on the street? Is there cars broken into on the street all the time? Is the liquor store directly across the street from my rental property? And then you wonder why there's a lot of problems going on in front of your house. Ooh, I wonder. Knowing the property means knowing all the surroundings, knowing the ins, the outs of it before you make this investment, because this is how you're going to avoid choosing the wrong property. This is key because the scale right there, it can be tipped one way or the other. And you can look at it and go, do I want the cash flow tipping higher? Do I want the appreciation tipping higher? Each one is going to give you a different decision that you're going to have to make. And that's why it's so important that you think about the things me and Vinny went over about the cash flow, the appreciation, the safety, all that stuff comes into play.
Learn more about mortgages, and great CPAs can help you with the tax benefits. Again, we're not CPAs. Talk to a trusted CPA. If you need a CPA, feel free to reach out. So non-owner properties and mortgages, duplex will have higher rates for loans than single family. When you buy an investment, down payment is usually 25%. It can be 20%. You classify it as a second residence based off the distance from your primary house. And again, I'm not a lender. I'm the realtor. I'll help you find the property. At least have a good understanding. David has that knowledge base, so he can kind of dive deeper into those kind of questions and statements.
Vinny dove right into that second home one quick there, because let's take an example. You live in Santee, but you love the Padres and have to live by the stadium because it's your whole life. That could be a second home. Completely different surrounding. Outside the box thinking. You have to realize outside the box thinking is how you solve problems. And your CPA, the smart ones, will help you solve problems. And the great realtor, the great lender, they're here to help you solve problems, to create opportunities for you, because that's what buying the investment property is supposed to do.
Exactly. Now, again, we're getting more viewers right now. If you're watching us, following us, just joining us right now, follow our market update on Monday and Friday at 4 o'clock. We kind of go more specific about rates and what's happening actually with current market updates.
They're only 10 minutes long. We respect your time, and we blow through a lot of data quick. You know, the other thing when you're buying your first rental property, we have it here on the list in front of you, is the more equity you have, the better interest rates you're going to get. 3 to 4 unit properties have higher rates than 2 unit properties, and single family rates on those houses are lower. Your condos, typically, if they don't have 25% down, they will be very expensive on interest rate. So for those of you who want to buy your investment as a condo, realize you will need 25% down, and it is more expensive. CPAs. So I'm going to jump into this. This is important for those of you out there who look at it and go, oh, I want to file my taxes myself, do everything myself. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can save money. Yes, you can cut corners. But as you start owning 2 rental properties, you're probably going to want a CPA. When you start looking at exchanging properties, you're going to want a CPA. When you want to look at how to reduce taxable income and yet maximize it when you sell the property, that you're not taxed into oblivion for taking the depreciation deduction, you want a smart CPA. Smart CPAs do not work at Walmart prices. I know a lot of people want everything at Walmart prices. Unfortunately, you're going to get Walmart service at Walmart prices. And so please be prepared to, when you hire a professional, it will cost you more money, and that's something you need to know up front.
Make friends with an honest contractor. If you can't do the work yourself, make sure you have an honest contractor on your side. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that can sway you, and you can find out that the cost of you doing it yourself is $20, but they're going to charge you $100. I mean, just for the drive time. I mean, one of the easiest things that for most people out there is a wall outlet. I'm going to blink on it, but basically an outlet, basically GFCI outlet. If you get a contractor, probably do it, electrician do it, probably charge you $100. You can go to Home Depot and get a $20 one and just put it on yourself. I mean, things like that are kind of small things that you could do yourself. So just something to think about.
Make sure you turn off the master power switch. Don't be that guy that leaves the power on and tries to change the GFI box and gets a whole new haircut.
So you want to go over the formulas?
Yeah, let's go into this. So this right here actually is one of my most favorite slides. It's ROI. It's your return on your investment. So when you look at this, a lot of you will go, where do I make my money? How do I make my money? Cash on cash returns. This is super important. If you want copies of these slides, you can reach out to Vinnie or myself. We'll give them to you. We thought these 3 were some of the easiest and best you can use quickly. So cash on cash returns. It's your annual cash flow divided by your initial cash investment equals cash on cash returns. Example, you bought a rental at $700,000, you put down 25%, $175K. Your annual cash flow from rents, that is the amount you collect each month from rent. So you take that and then you divide it by the amount of money you put down. In this case, this gentleman, our young lady, our princess, our king, or however you want to put it, they're making 24% return on their money. That is astronomically amazing. You would have to hire someone like Vinnie to find this. Other than that, I mean, I think
you're probably more likely looking at maybe around 5 to maybe 10% on your investment.
24. Heck of a job on that one, buddy.
Yeah. So you'll see sometimes David likes to push the threshold, and we all have hopes, we all have dreams, but reality is you're probably looking at 5-10%, and that's still, a great return.
Net operating income. So this is another great one. Net operating income. Why do you need to know this? Why? Because you need to know how much money you're going to have. Net operating income is annual income minus annual expenses, not including the debt servicing. So example, we go back to the first one, your cash on cash returns. You brought in $42,000 in income for the year. Yet you spent $12,000 in expenses for the year. That means you made 30 grand in operating income. Now you can use this 30 grand to see if you could pay your mortgage with just the operating income. If your mortgage expense is covered with your operating income, you're in a good position. Goes back to what Vinnie talked about earlier. If you can't afford the payment, this net operating income is your lifesaver. It is the life raft, life preserver, however you want to put it. The donut that floats. It's basically net operating income is super crucial to you. You need to know this. Payback period. So everyone looks at this and goes, well, I saved up $175,000 and then I put it all down on one investment. When do I get paid back? Probably a good question to ask yourself. So this is your initial cash investment divided by your annual cash flow. So in our example, like Vinnie said, it is rather aggressive because, this was a blockbuster out of the park. So you put down $175K, you collect $42,000 in total rent per year. Your payback period is 4.17 years. That's how you get all your money back. These things right here, easy things to follow that will help you make better educated decisions on your first investment property.
And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want the slide, feel free to reach out. Yes. What else to do to protect yourself? Learn California renter laws. In California, the tenant of the property has a lot of rights, and just be aware of those when you're renting out a property. Hire a highly qualified realtor to help you. We got to change the slide. So hire a highly qualified realtor and a highly qualified lender, not just a generic.
That's I got to fix those. That's mine. I'm sorry.
So both of them, you're gonna need that. You want the best rates possible. The thing to look at when you're dealing with a brick and mortar company, right, is that they have guidelines that you need to fit into, right? And most of us aren't cookie cutters of the next person, right? You might have your own company, might have other things that factor in. So when you deal with a broker like David, it allows you that threshold to go, okay, well, I don't fit into these guidelines, but this is why he can still fit into it. This is why he can still get that low rate. Something to talk about. And then dealing with a realtor like myself, we can kind of figure out what's the best game plan for you and where we should kind of dive into property wise. Property manager, do you need one? Learn the cost. Property managers are going to vary. Usually about from 6 to 8% of the rental income. So really understand what you're looking for in a property manager. If it's your first property, maybe you want to manage it yourself. Get a great tenant and take on that, and then plan on things going wrong. Slowly start putting money into an account just so if there's any issues, maybe get a home warranty on the property that can factor in some of those items that might pop out. So really kind of putting together a game plan that's going to help you as things kind of progress.
Things will go wrong. You know, I forgot to mention something when Vinnie was talking earlier about knowing your property. The last property I purchased, I did the pipe inspection. I did everything I was supposed to. I have cast iron pipes. House is 1958. And the gentleman did the pipe inspection and said, hey, you got about good 3 more years until your pipes fall to pieces. And I said, okay, cool. That's great. I got 3 years of time, which, you know, you could maybe say 4 if things go wrong. Within 2 years, my pipes exploded. Everything busted. It was a $7,500 fix, which is actually pretty cheap for replacing all your cast iron pipes. And it's a problem that I thought would happen in 3 to 4 years, happened in 2. Things go wrong. When they do, they're expensive. Have money.
And then insurance. I mean, maybe talk to 1 or 2 providers to really help you out. If you need a great insurance agent, feel free to reach out. I'd love to get you in contact with someone. Then realize you're playing the long game to create wealth. You were here to take some risks and calculate a risk. So understanding that game plan, talking to the lender, talking to the realtor like myself, we can kind of walk you through a strong game plan to protect you for later on. David?
Oh, here we go. Cash is king or queen. You needed to operate on this investment property. Do you sleep well at night if you don't have money in the bank? A lot of people will save everything they have for the down payment and then not have anything left. If you don't sleep well at night, not having money in the bank, do not sink everything into your investment property. You need cash. This will cost money to do. You know, it's super important. Me and Vinnie are huge. You know, we're huge on health. We're huge on taking care of yourself physically and mentally. And if you don't have any money, you're mentally stressed, and which means you don't sleep well, which means you're not healthy. So make sure you have money. The other thing is if you're going to buy your first place, you can live in one for a while. Buy your first rental property, live in it, fix it up, rent it out later. You're always looking for ways to improve the value of your property because that turns out to increased rents, whether it is, you know, do you add a washer and dryer to your property for the tenants? Do you add a barbecue grill for the tenants? You know, simple things like, do you have a nice hose that they can wash their car? You're always looking for ways to increase value. And then decrease cost. Never screw over tenants. Look for ways to decrease your costs. Can you save money on the appliances? Can you save money on landscaping by putting better trees in there or low maintenance things?
Or drip system. Yeah, drip system, you know, solar panels. I mean, things like that, based off of how long you're going to have the property for, things to really factor in when you're decreasing the cost, like Dave was saying. Now that you have the basics, go look at properties, hire a great agent and a great lender, know the geofarms, look at the rents, look at the improvements, use the formulas, know your goals.
Boom.
Grow that wealth.
Grow that wealth. Look at that.
And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or David. We'd love to be that resource for you. Please follow us, subscribe. We do a market update every Monday and Friday, or we plan to do a buyer seminar next weekend. Going to have a quiz event Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So feel free to jump into that too. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. This is our information for David and myself.
And if you're looking to become smarter and want to do it with not drinking smart water, listen to Vinnie's podcast. He also has a podcast. He didn't promote it. I'm going to promote it. Vinnie has a great podcast for those of you who like entrepreneurship, like the idea of let's say, building your cookie cutting business, and you're going to sell cookies. You're an entrepreneur. Vinnie interviews a lot of people who have done startups themselves and had great success in a diversity of different businesses.
You know
what's the name of that podcast?
It's called Road to Growth. It's on the website, enriquezgroup.com. I just had an interview last week with they're opening up a new school in La Mesa. It's called Acton Academy East. This actually might be good for your daughter, David. They're going to have next February a kids buyer seminar, or not, what is it, like a entrepreneur event for K to fifth graders.
Wow.
And so you don't have to be at the school, but you can just basically still have your kid go in there, and they have like a Shark Tank for kids and that kind of thing. So this is going to be the first year opening up in San Diego. They have like Acton has like 200 places around the United States, but this is going to be the first one in San Diego. So if your kids don't want to go to the academy, but they want to be part of that event, it's going to be next February. But that episode is going to be out probably in the next couple of weeks.
And I will say the episode you did with the physical therapist that did my physical therapy, gentleman that works with a lot of famous fighters, quite a few of them in the UFC. You probably know their names. If you listen to his podcast, you will see he's helped a lot of them. That's also interesting because we are big on health and fitness, me and Vinnie. And I know that there was an interesting one because the physical trainer helped me a lot, and he also has a great story too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys. Please subscribe, please share, and tell your friends. Bye, everyone.
Bye.